This recording is for Primary Math 3. It's the workbook, pages 26 and 28, and this deals with adding four-digit numbers using the mental math skills, so just practicing on those to make sure that we're ready to combine numbers and keep with the mental math strategies. These are the problems on page 26, and what I would like to do is try to just talk through them. It'll take a lot longer to talk you through them than it would to actually do them, but to just tell you when I look at this, what do I see after many years of working Singapore math problems, how have I learned to view these that makes it a mental math problem. When I see this number, 410 tens, I know, and I'm only adding 5, so I know what I'm really going to focus on are the ones, and of course I have a 10 and 2 extra, and so that 10 will go here, and 2 extra. I have 41 hundreds and 12. Essentially that's what I'm noticing, of course. The 41 hundreds and 12 is what this number is. And noticing place value helps us to see that. On the next number, when I look at it, of course, I just have the 72 in the hundreds place. I have 72 hundreds, but when I look at this, I know I'm going to have 7,300. So I already mentally think 7,300, and then glancing at this, one of these is going to go with the 10, with the 9 to make a 10, and there'll be 4 tens left. And when I look over at my ones, I know I'm not going to have another 10, and so I have 4 tens and 6 ones left over. Now that happens really quickly. I just make a 10 with a 9 and realize it's 7,346. Notice, of course, with each digit we're adding, or with each problem we're adding another digit, so we're now adding a 4-digit with a 3-digit, and it's a similar strategy. Often I look at the hundreds. I have 10 hundreds and 7 hundreds, but this will be another 100. So now I'm up to 18 hundreds, and when that 100 is gone, I just have one 10 left, and my ones digit adds up to an 8. So again, I start at the left and I look my way through. I have 1000 and 700 plus another one and 18. Then we get up to finally a 4 by 4, but this strategy can be the same. 45 and 19. Now I would look at that and say, mentally I'm thinking 45 and 20 and put 1 back. So that's 64 when I add those two numbers together. When I glance at my other digits, I'm not going to carry anything over, so this is really two problems. 19 plus 45 are all in the hundreds, so I have 64 hundreds, and 63 and 2 are the ones, so I have 65 in my ones place. Making this part into mental math by thinking of it as 45 and 20, take 1 away, is a good strategy as well. Then we move on to having, anyway, whatever, I'm not sure what other pattern is, but this is back to a 4 by 2, but this time it's going to borrow and carry a few more numbers. When I think about, when I look at this, I kind of ignore the 30 for a minute and focus on this. Do I have another 100? And the answer is no. I'm not going to have another 100. All I need to know first is about that. So I'm still going to have 30 hundreds. And then 58 and 16, if I borrow 2 of those to make a 60, I have 14 left, and 60 and 14 is 74. So let me write that down and talk about it again. 58 plus 16, 16 is 2 and 14. So that's 60 and 14, which gives me 74. Now again, all of this is just how I'm thinking about it. I'm not necessarily writing it down every time, but however long you need to write it down is, of course, a perfect amount of time to write it. Next problem. I guess a lot of times I really divide it into hundreds, and I can look at that and know that there's 82 hundreds. This is not going to be another 100, so I have 82 hundreds and I have a 91. On the next problem, there's 99 hundreds. I do not have enough over here to have another 100. So I have 99 hundredths, and 8 and 30 is 38. Put 1 back and I get 37. 29 add 8 is the same thing as 30 add 7. So that will give me 37. Now we're going to have one that adds some interest. I have 5,600, but look at this. I know I'm going to have another 100, so that's 5,700. How much above 100 do I have? Well, 70 and 30 make 100, and there's 13 more than that. So when I see the 43 and the 70, I think of the 43 as 13 and 30. So 13 and 30 is 100. That made this a 57, and I have 13 left over. The last one on that page, again, combines some skills. Not so much. In my ones digits, or the tens digits, I guess, I don't have another 100. So 63 and 8 is going to be 63 plus 8 is the same thing as 63, 63 plus 10 and go back 2. So 73 minus 2 is 71, and I have 71 in the hundreds and 79 in the ones place. So that's the first page, page 26, that has all of those numbers. And then we've done some practice, and so not surprisingly, it picks up the pace, and we're going to be challenged to go left to right on each of these. They're not necessarily simple, but let's see how we go. Again, we look at this, and we have 65 hundredths. I'm definitely going to have another 100 there. So automatically I know I have 66 hundredths. And let's think about this. If I'm going to add 67 and 94, I would probably think of this as 57 and 10 and 90 and 4. Because this gave me that extra 100. Remember, I knew there's 100, so this pink numbers add up to 65, but I know there's another 100, gives me 66, and then 57 plus 4 is 61. Now, mental math doesn't mean you don't write anything down. Okay, looking at this, it's pretty quick to add the pink numbers and get 65 to recognize there's another 100. And then maybe I would write down, there's several ways you could do it. You could take 6 of these to that way. So I have 67 is 61 and 6. That'd even be an easier way. So there's my 61 right there because I gave 6 of them to the 94. So maybe you write down the 61. Often, when I'm doing these, depending on how easy or hard it feels to me, I do go to the tens. And so I have 90 and 10, and above that I have 57 and 4. Maybe you write that down. Maybe you just write down the 57 and 4. Whatever you need to write down is fine. Mental math doesn't mean you have to do it all in your head. It just means you're thinking about the numbers in a way that makes sense with the numbers. Okay. So 23 and 68. Did you think about add 70, put 2 back? So 93, put 2 back is 91. Do I have another 100 here? And that, of course, is no, I don't. So I have 91 hundredths, and I have 92 in the ones places. 92 ones, 9 tens, 2 ones. It just helps somehow to break it down into 2 problems like that. We could keep doing it the same way. I'm tempted on some of these to show you a different way just because maybe it's helpful to have a couple of things going on. When I look at these numbers, I know that 63 needs 32 to make 100. Because remember, I'm trying to make it a 9. I'd have 9s in all of the places and then a 10. These numbers are all trying to become 9, and the last number is trying to become a 10. So with 68, I need a 32 to make the 9 and the 10. So if I had 32, hold on, I'm going through the process of subtracting. Okay, sorry, had a mental stop and think a minute. All right, so 47 is 32 and 15. Now when I see the number 47, especially if I write down 32, it's pretty quick for me to realize that 15 is what I need because I have 3 10s and 2 1s, and I need 4 10s and 7 1s. So I need 15 more. And when I put these 32 with this, all of a sudden I have 2,000. So I have 3,215 and 2,000, or 5,215 for that problem. What I did, again, was to erase that for a moment. What I did was work on making this 1,968 into an even 2,000 by using 32 of those, and that meant I have 3,000. The 3,200 were never touched. There's another 2,000 here, and these 15 on this part. Now, could you do it the other way? Certainly. It's always good to have more than one way to do it because sometimes you look at it and think, well, this is really easy a different way. But I look at these numbers. 32 add 20 is 52, put 1 back is 51, but I have to also consider these, and I do have another 100. So these 5,100 is going to go back to being 5,200. And notice I've used the 40 and the 60, so I have 7 and 8 is 15, and that's what I have left to make, to put in my digits there, because this is 7 and 40, and this is 60 and 8, and so 40 and 60 make that extra 100, and 7 and 8 make the 15. When I see these two numbers, I know I have 30 hundredths. When I look at these, I know it'll be 3,100. Because if I try and take 6 out of this, I've got to cross over the 20. So if I had the 94, if I could put 6 of them up there, then I'd have another, that's where that other 100 comes from, and whatever I have left is my answer. And to get 6 out of there, I've got to go back 3 to 30, and back 3 more to 27. So that's perfectly fine if you could see that 33 is 6 and 27. If that's not as fast for you, you could think of this as 4 and 90, and 10 and 23, and then 90 and 100, or 90 and 10, make that extra 100. We've already used that because this is 3,000 plus that one is 31, and then that extra 4 and this extra 23 give me my 27. When I look at this one, actually, I notice how close I am to 3,000. This would only take 105 to get to 3,000. And so 105 is easy to take away. That gives me 291. So these two numbers together, 2,895 and 105, give me 3,000. Now notice this is gone. I took the 396 and I broke it down into 291 and 105. That's 396. So I now have these two numbers, which make 3,000, this number, which is 4,000, and I have 291. So 7,291 is one way to solve that one. And again, this is a random way to write it, but if you're thinking through it, how do you don't have to write it all down if you're thinking it. It might be a great thing to write these two numbers down so you keep up with it. Maybe even to cross that out so you remember that the 396 is gone. Can you look at 2,895 and know you need 105 to get up to 3,000? If so, that helps a lot, of course, doing the problem this way. But remember, we're trying to make a 9 with everything. To make the 8 into a 9, I need a 1. The 9 is already a 9, so I don't need anything. To make the 5 into a 10, I need the other 5. All right, what if you say, all well and good, do it a different way? You could do the same thing with this one. Well, Let's just do this. 43 and 28. I'm going to add 30. 43 plus 30 and put 2 back. So that's 71. Then when I look at my ones digit, I definitely have another 100. So that's a 72 in the hundreds place. In the ones place, the easiest thing as I look at this is to give 5 to this one. That's that 100, right? This 100 right there is the 100 that I added to make the 71 into 72. And if I put 5 with the 95 to make it 100, then what I have left is 91. So 7,291 is the answer to that one. All right, so I have 93. That's pretty easy. When I look over here, I definitely have another 100. So that's 9,400. And personally, if I were doing this, I would realize that this is 6 and 70, and this is 30 and 18, and these two, I should color code it actually, these two made that other 100, made my 9,300 into a 9,400, and 18 and 6 is 24. 9,424. The next one, 4,828 and 3,864. If I have 38 plus 50 and put 2 back, that's 88, and put 2 back is 86. Do I have another 100 in my ones? And that's no, I don't. So there's 8,600. Now, in this one, I have 28 and 64. When I look at these two, I realize there's going to be a 10 just by looking at it. So my 8 tens becomes 9 tens, and I have 2 left over because the 4 and the 8 left me with 2. 8,692. I feel like I'm being pretty redundant. Hopefully it's helpful anyway. Because easy thing to do is to look at it as separate problems. So 37 and 3 is 40. I definitely have another 100. Makes 41. By the way, the biggest number that I could possibly have when I add the biggest two numbers I have added together would be 198. So I'll never have 2 hundreds to add over here. The question just is, do the pink numbers make 100 or not make 100? It will never make 200. It will at most make 100. Okay, and so in this case, I do have enough to make 100. And the question is, after 100, what do I have left? And so I could call it 80 and 20. And I have 5 and 49. And 49 and 5 is 54. Do you have to write this down? Well, that depends, right? If you need to write it down, go for it. Maybe you don't write that down, but maybe you go ahead and write the 49 and the 5 to remind yourself how far up did you go. And of course, instead of 80 and 20, I could have very easily made this 60 and 9 and 40 and 45. And these two make the 100. 45 and 9 make 54. All right, last one on these problems. $13 and 59 is going to give me 72. When I look at the ones digits, I definitely don't have another 100, so there's 7,200. And when I look at these numbers, I know that these are going to make another 10, so instead of 5 tens, I'm going to have 6 tens, and I have nothing left over. 7,260 is that answer. So that is adding 4-digit numbers, and I hope that that is helpful to you. Thank you.